Hello and welcome to the video review of my new hammock. This is a Hennessy hammock and the model is the Jungle Explorer XL asymmetric zip. So this video's a little long, but I go into a lot of detail about this thing. So if it's a little long for you and you have a short attention span like me and you don't want to watch the whole thing, if you look at the pinned comment below and the description below, I have timestamps for all of the different parts of this video. I start by going over all the specs, then I go over the unpackaging, then I go over how to set the whole thing up, then I go over all the outside features and then all the inside features, how to set up the tarp on Ridgeline, and also how to set up the tarp just right on the hammock itself. So again, feel free to skip ahead if you need to. Here's the specs from off their site. Feel free to pause it if you want to read them all. The most important thing, this being an XL, it states it's recommended for people up to 300 pounds and people up to 7 feet tall. My Expedition is not an XL, it's just normal sized. And this one holds up to 250 pounds and it's recommended for people up to 6 feet tall. You can get a non-XL version of this one too for a little bit cheaper. And you can get an XL of this one. And here's the price of the normal Jungle Explorer Zip XL and the Woodland version as well. And right now is the time to get it if you want to get the Woodland one, because the normal one isn't, but the Woodland one is on sale. As you can see, $389 down to $311. That's a pretty good sale. So here's the bag that the hammock comes in with everything in it. Now, I understand it's a little hard to see. It's camo just like the hammock is, so it blends in really well. You're really going to have to focus your eyes to see it here. There we are. Now get your eye on it. You don't want to lose sight of it again. So let's open this thing up. So it comes with tree straps, and it also comes with a camouflage tarp. Now I haven't used it yet, so this is exactly how it comes packaged. And then it comes with the hammock inside. Now the hammock was tied up a little differently. I just stuffed it back in there and it went in really, really easily. One thing I like about the packaging is that everything goes back in really, really well. There's nothing worse than trying to put something back into a stuff sack and you just can't quite seem to make it fit. I usually store my tarp separately from my hammock, but it's kind of nice that this one fits in here. Just saves some space. And if you decide you still want to store your tarp separately, then there's just tons of room in this thing for the hammock. More than enough.
Widowmakers.
So this hammock spot between these two trees look great. I'm just going to look up and make sure that there's no widowmakers. Oh my goodness! So in the hammock world,
Widowmakers
are trees that could fall and end your life. When you choose your hammock spot, you always want to look up and make sure that there's no
Widowmakers.
So yeah, look above for dead branches, none there. Look around for dead trees, that one there looks like it's about to fall. And make sure the trees that you're hanging on got some life in them as well. So the first thing I like to set up is the tree straps. These are the tree straps that come with it. So let me put those on the trees and then I'll show you them right quick. So, just dropping it here. It's very easy to set these up. And as you can see, it only takes a tiny amount of time. There we go. So just to show you guys a little closer, to set up the tree strap, it's literally one of the easiest things ever. Just gonna wrap our tree strap around the tree. And then we're going to feed one end through the closed loop. Like that. Pretty straightforward. And then you pull it tight. So I usually have the suspension a little higher than my head or at about head level. That's what they say. Depends on the distance of your trees. And it doesn't have to be perfect, but they say you should aim for your angle of your suspension to be about the same angle of these finger pistols here. Apachoo, apachoo. Gotcha. All right, so first I'm just gonna set this up right quick with the suspension that comes with it, and then I will explain how I set this up, because I've done a couple mods to mine. But first, let's just show you how quick and easy it is. It's really easy to keep it off the ground if you do it this way. So I just keep feeding the hammock out, and that's it. All right, so right quick, I want to talk about my suspension setup. So here's the tree straps that come with the hammock. And the reason why you want to use tree straps is because this won't damage the tree with all your weight in it, like this rope that comes off the hammock does. This is more than long enough. You don't need the tree strap for extra length, but that could bite into the tree and damage it with all your weight on it. And then the tree strap comes down, and I have my carabiner here, and then I have the rope that comes off the end of the hammock tied into a bowline knot that goes into the carabiner. These carabiners didn't come with this thing. You could technically just tie this into your tree strap, but I find this a little easier to set up each time. And on the other side, it's the same, just a little bit more distance here. So there's a couple things I like about these tree straps. I like how thick they are. I also like how the loops on the end here that support your weight have more than one layer, as you can see here, and that just makes them feel a little bit more safe where it's holding up all your weight. I like that. However, the thing that I don't like about the tree straps that come with this hammock is there's only one loop. So due to the fact that there's only one loop, if your hammock is, say, hanging a little low like it is here now, to readjust it with the other tree straps, you literally have to undo your bowline and the rope on the end of the hammock and tie it in a different spot, which just takes a little bit of time. Instead, I upgraded to some daisy chain tree straps here, which I will say feel a little cheaper. They're a little thinner. I like the thickness of the other ones here. And they don't have multiple loops in one loop like the other one does. But they've held up well. So for example, my hammock's hanging a little low here. To fix it, instead of retying anything, all I have to do is take my carabiner out of this loop and move it up to a loop that's higher up. And there you go. So anyways, that's enough about the suspension. Let's move on to the part you've all been waiting for, the hammock. One of the coolest things is that it's camo. Wait, you can't see it again, can you? Hold on, focus, give yourself a second. There, you see it now? Now keep an eye on it. You don't want to lose sight of it again. So yeah, I love the camo on this thing. But starting from one end and working down, we have this rope on this side, which is camo too, which is a nice touch. And one thing I really like about this rope is that it feels really sturdy and strong, and it's extremely long. So if you had an area where the trees were really, really far apart, that combined with my daisy chains here, you would be able to hang for some trees that are extremely far apart. This isn't stretchy as well, like some paracord is, so that's awesome. So moving on down the line, we have a Prusik loop with a hook on it. Now, I didn't put this here. This came with the hammock. If you don't know what a Prusik loop is, sorry if I'm pronouncing that wrong, it's a loop that's wrapped around this rope here that if I move it like this, it moves no problem. But as soon as I pull it like this, it bites onto the line and it won't move anywhere. I'm actually pulling pretty hard there and it ain't going anywhere. I think what this is intended for, because there's one on the other side too, is if you really want to set your tarp up really quick, you can actually attach it to this hook on either side of the Prusik loop. Now that's not how I do my tarp, but I'll show you guys that later because it's really, really fast if you set it up that way. What I use it for is my underquilt, which I will go over later as well. But basically I hook my underquilt onto there, hook it onto the other side, and it just goes underneath the hammock. So moving on down the line, we have the start of the hammock, the bug net, and the Ridgeline. So, if you're new to hammocking, you might be wondering what the Ridgeline is. Well, this Ridgeline here does a couple of things. Number one, obviously enough, it keeps the bug net off of you. So when you're laying in the hammock, it's not on your face. So other than keeping the bug net off you, another good thing that the Ridgeline does is it stops your hammock from getting pulled too tight. Let me show you. So if I pull the hammock really tight here, just imagine it's tight like this between the two trees. As you can see, the hammock on the bottom doesn't get pulled really tight. It stops because the Ridgeline stops it from getting pulled any tighter than this. If you don't have a Ridgeline, and you pull your hammock tight like that, the bottom can get pulled really tight, and you don't want to sleep like that because you'll be, just trust me, it sucks. You'll be stuck like this, and it's very, very uncomfortable. Not only that, it also protects your hammock, because if you don't have a ridgeline and you pull your hammock really tight, like I said earlier, I can't really show you because, well, this has the ridgeline installed. You can rip your hammock. I don't know the exact physics behind it, but once you start tying your hammock too tight, your weight that goes into it gets multiplied by some leverage physics equation, and you can rip your hammock. So awesome to have a ridgeline built in here. It's really reassuring to know that due to this ridgeline, I'm going to have a very comfortable sleep every time, and I'm not messing with the tightness of the hammock. And also, just like the rope on the end here, the ridgeline is also made of a non-stretchy rope that doesn't stretch, so that's a good thing as well. The bug net is no CM bug mesh, and it looks really dense as well, so that's a good thing, but it's also really easy to see through. The ripstop also feels really nice as well. It feels quite a bit nicer than the no-name hammock that I have. We are on the other side of the hammock here. And actually, the way you're supposed to set this up, or the way they recommend it, is it has tie-outs on either side. And on these tie-outs is shock cord, so it's a little stretchy, which you'd want it to be. And you're supposed to just take this, it has a hook on the end, and peg it down, and it kind of pulls your hammock out. Like that. It also has it on the other side. And also, this hammock, I'll go into this a bit more when we're inside of the thing, but it has a asymmetrical lay, so honestly, I hardly ever use these tie-outs, but they are quite nice, and it's a nice option to have, and I'm sure there's some people who like it more tied out. It really just stretches out the hammock, but if you lay diagonally, you can kind of get a similar effect. But I like that these tie-outs are here because it makes it really easy to tell which way your head and feet go. So this side down here is where your feet would go if you were laying diagonally and didn't have it tied out. If you just tied it out, you'd be able to tell no problem. And on this side, over here, this is the side that your head would go on. I mean, you could have your head the other way and your feet this way, but you wouldn't want to have your head on this side. And also, just a quick thing on the zippers. They're awesome. They're good quality zippers. I have a cheap no-name hammock, and that zipper gets caught on everything all the time, as most zippers do. But I've never had the zipper get caught on something even once, which is great, because you really wouldn't want to get caught on the hammock or in the bug net. It's pretty great. Oh, and I might have already said it, but one thing I forgot to show is this is a 2-layer hammock. So, right around the tie-out here, there it is. There is an opening to put a thermal pad in between these 2 layers, and then that can keep your back warm when you're laying and sleeping when it's starting to get a little colder. Now, I use an underquilt, so I don't really need a thermal pad, and it didn't come with the hammock. You have to get that separately. But the 2 layers also has another added function, the biggest one, and I never knew this until I started hammocking. Mosquitoes will not get you through the bottom of this one with the 2 layers. I had 2 other single layer hammocks, and I didn't realize this, but mosquitoes can bite you right through the bottom. It's crazy. You'd never think that's a thing that would happen. But it's quite annoying when it happens. Now, if you have a blanket underneath you, you generally won't get bit through the bottom of your hammock. Sometimes if your shoulder's up against it, that can happen sometimes. But if you're just lounging without a blanket, it can happen quite a bit to the point where it gets annoying. And with this hammock, I've used it without any blankets, and I've never had it happen with these 2 layers, not even once. So that's awesome. And also, another reason why I wanted the 2nd layer, well, it's good because it can hold more weight. That's not really why I got it, but it's just a little bit more peace of mind in my mind that if something was to happen to this bottom layer where it got a little tiny rip, say from a thorn or something that was underneath, which I really don't plan on happening. I want to take good care of this thing. But if it does happen, it's sort of like an added layer of protection as well. So that's just something I kind of like about it. And there's really not too much more to show you on the outside. If you just go up this way, you got another hook on the Prusik loop, and yeah, that's pretty much it. All right, so let's get in this thing, and I can show you the features of the inside. I'm going to be using the tie-outs there and there to spread the hammock out, because that's how they intend on you using it. However, I very rarely use them because it's just an extra step, and it's just as comfortable without. But I'm going to use them for now, for this video. All right, so I'm in the hammock. I'm laying on the diagonal. My feet are to the right here, and my head is to the left. And I gotta say, this thing is extremely comfortable. I could fall asleep right now. But before I do that, let's go over all the little features this thing has. So going on down the ridgeline, we have a little hook here. That's just for hanging whatever you want off of, like a lantern. That'd be a great idea. And going further down the line, we have the little ridgeline organizer thing here, whatever you want to call it. And you can just put stuff in there. It's pretty big. It looks like it's almost made out of the bug net. And there's the entry right there. And I just got my car keys in there, so I don't have my car keys digging into the hammock. Even though the hammock could probably handle it, I'd just rather not have that happen. And then going further down the line, we have... Oh, hey, what's that? Oh, sweet, a can of Alexander Keith's, a local Nova Scotia beer. What a pleasant surprise. How'd that get there? Yeah, you can also hang your drinks off these hooks, too, and it's super handy. Pretty sweet feature. Right friggin' on, bud. There's also a little rope here, and I really don't know what that's for. That's just to the left of my shoulder here. It's just kind of hooked into itself, but yeah, I don't know why that's there. But yeah, extremely comfortable in here. So I've been hammock camping for years now. I used to have I still have a Hennessy Expedition Zip. And that was the only difference, was it was just a little smaller than this one, and it didn't have the 2 layers. And I gotta say, they are both extremely comfortable. 10 out of 10 comfort. Just as comfortable, if not more comfortable, than sleeping in my bed at home. When I first started hammock camping, I learned that if I wasn't quite as comfortable as I would have been in my bed at home, like if everything was pretty good, but there was just something a little bit off, it was normally a problem. It always was a problem with how I hung the hammock. Usually the straps would be a little too steep, or I wouldn't have the hammock actually hung tight enough, even though I said earlier you don't want to hang it too tight. And that would just make it so I didn't have any support behind my knees, and my knees would be a little, my legs would be a little hyperextended. And even though my older Hennessy Expedition Zip, I slept, I was just as comfortable in that thing as I was this thing. One thing I like a little bit better about this one, because it's an XL, is even though I really didn't need it, I just feel like I got a little bit more space in this one. My feet are, I got a lot of room between here and the bug net, and same with my shoulder here. There's just tons of room over here. The hammock is really, really big. There's tons of room, so I really like that. So yeah, really up to you guys if you want to use the tie-outs or not. I really only started using them during this video review, but I gotta say, I do like them. But it's good without them as well. So I tie my tarp on a separate ridge line, just a tight line of paracord between the 2 trees that my hammock is on. But I have them in these things called snake skins that Hennessy was just so nice to send me with this hammock for free. Now, with my old Hennessy, I heard of the snake skins, and a lot of people put their snake skins in the hammock. I don't really find that necessary, because if you watch the setup of the hammock in this video, it literally takes 20 seconds. But I do find setting up the tarp a bit more tedious. So, putting in the snake skins really, really helps. So I'm going to show you how quick it is to set up the tarp when it's in the snake skins here. Basically, it's just these pieces of fabric here, or whatever you want to call it, and the tarp is stuffed up inside. So look how quick it takes to set up my tarp. Normally, you have to put your tarp over the ridgeline separately and then figure out which way is the long way and the short way. It's not that bad. It's just a lot more tedious than setting up the hammock. But with the snake skins, all I have to do is this. And the tarp's ready to go. It's that easy. All I have to do now is just pin down all 4 corners. I really like the tarp that came with it. Number 1, it's camo. Number 2, it has tie-outs on all 4 corners. They have these little hooks here. I don't really know what I'd use that for, but it's there if you need it. But one thing that I really, really like on all 4 corners, when you're done with your tarp and you want to pack away your tie downs, you can just tuck them in there. That's an amazing feature. That's how it came packed. Less tangled mess to deal with. And it has these plastic D-rings here. I just got a stick here that kind of holds it to this Prusik loop that's attached to my Ridgeline, but they're nice quality there as well. My Hennessy Expedition Zip came with a smaller tarp, rainfly, whatever you want to call it, and it was a lot smaller than this one. So I really like all the extra room that this one has compared to that one. I did upgrade, not from this one, but from that other smaller one that I just mentioned. And that one's actually a little bit bigger than this one, has a bit more room. But I like the quality of this one a bit more. That one doesn't have a spot to tuck the rope into, which I really like. And it doesn't have the D-rings on the end like this one does. And the biggest thing, it's not camo. I love that this one's camo. So yeah, it's a nice tarp that came with the thing. That's awesome. Alright, so I took the tarp back down just for you guys who are interested in how the underquilt hooks up. I'm just going to show you really quick how it hooks into these things. It literally takes 30 seconds. Alright, so here's my underquilt here. It has a little carabiner here that I'm just going to attach on those hooks that I talked about earlier. So, all you gotta do is put it in there. And then I'm just going to feed it out of this bag as I move along like I did with my hammock earlier. And it's very easy to set up. And then I take a carabiner on this other side. And there, the underquilt's all set up. Now, I don't have the hammock in it yet, but all you gotta do for that is just lift your hammock up and put it inside the underquilt. And there we go. So now I'm gonna show you guys the fastest way to set up the hammock and the tarp, which are both in here, wrapped in the snake skins that Hennessy gave to me. I never really set up the hammock this way, but now that I finally tried it, it is the fastest and easiest way to set this thing up. So let me show you right quick. I already have a tree strap on that tree and a tree strap on that tree. I got the carabiner on the rope coming out of this side. The tree straps, the end of the hammock rope here, and the tarp is attached to the rope here on that hook that I showed you guys earlier, the Prusik loop with the hook on it that comes with the hammock. And then the tarp and the hammock are in this thing, not getting hit by the wind, which is really nice. And then we have the hook here attached to the hammock line and the same thing going back to the tree. There, I just had to adjust it and raise it up a little bit, but now I have the hammock and the tarp both set up at the same time. That needs to go up a little bit more, but you get the picture. So yeah, we have the tarp right on the line that connects to the hammock on both sides. And then when you're all done using both of these, you just wrap them up and put them back in the snake skins. Now that I tried this, it is a really, really fast way to set up both at the same time. All right, so we're on to the three-way hammock battle between the Jungle Explorer XL Woodland, the Expedition, and the cheap Amazon hammock. So, the first thing we're rating here is comfort. Probably the most important thing when it comes to hammocks, how comfy you are. So the comfort of the Jungle Explorer XL is a 5 out of 5. As I said earlier, I sleep better in this thing than I do my bed at home. And the Ridgeline here keeps the hang consistent every time, so you're not fiddling around with the thing trying to find the perfect hang sag all the time. That Ridgeline will do it for you. As for the Expedition, this thing gets, I'd say, a 4 to a 5 out of 5 as well. The reason I say 4 and not 5 is in this thing, I sleep just as good as this thing. As I said, better than my bed at home. However, this one is a little smaller. I do not need the extra space that comes with this one. And I've never found this one too small. However, the extra space that I don't need is just kind of nice to have. I do like the bigger size of the Jungle Explorer XL. So I will give the comfort just slightly to this one, literally just due to feeling more roomy. Even if I don't need the room, it's just nice to have. And the no-name hammock gets the lowest score. I'm going to give it a 3 out of 5. The reason this one gets a 3, for how cheap this thing is, it's amazing how it still sleeps better than a tent on the ground. However, it is smaller. I believe it's only like 9.5 feet long or something like that. And it still fits me pretty well at 5'8" or 5'9", whatever I am. But if you were 6 feet plus in this thing, I don't think it would work. But the biggest problem is the bug net doesn't stay taut. The Hennessy hammocks, the bug net is always off of you. On this one, it kind of falls on you. This one isn't specially designed for an asymmetrical lay, but it works very well in this one though, surprisingly. And the only other thing I can say about comfort is you still have to be careful tying this one too tight because it does have a ridgeline, just like the other two. However, it is stretchy and made of shock cord, so that you can still hang this thing a little too tight. So next rating, bug protection. This one gets a 5 out of 5. The bug net's awesome. It doesn't get on you at all. It stays off you no problem. And it has the double layer bottom. Mosquitoes cannot get you through the bottom. This gets a 4 out of 5. The bug net's just as good. It does the same thing. It stays off of you. It doesn't rest on you. However, bugs can get you through the bottom. If you have a blanket or an underquilt, you don't got to worry about this. Or if you're in a sleeping bag, you don't got to worry about that either. And the no-name hammock, it is going to get a 2.5 out of 5. And here's why. For the price, it's amazing that it has a bug net and a zipper on it at all. And it does look like it's a pretty fine mesh, but I will say the openings do look bigger than the Hennessy's. But the reason this gets so much of a lower score is because the bug net doesn't stay taut. I don't know if it's because the ridgeline is stretchy and moves, but when you're laying in this thing, this bug net is just laying on me. My shoulder and forehead would be getting bitten right now laying on the diagonal. Even laying straight, which is a lot less comfortable than laying diagonally, I still have the bug net on me here. As you can see, it's coming together at the top, and it's also on my leg. My foot and my leg would also getting chewed up by mosquitoes right now because it's literally on me. So now we're moving on to quality and durability. So now for the Jungle Explorer XL, it gets a 5 out of 5 again. I'm not going to pretend to know a lot about ripstop because I don't. However, the ripstop on the Jungle Explorer XL and the Hennessy Expedition feel better than the fabric on the no-name hammock, which is to be expected. But they also win in quality due to having a non-stretchy ridgeline. This ridgeline is the same, where this one is stretchy. But this one gets a slight edge in durability over the Expedition because it has 2 layers on the bottom, even though this isn't what the 2 layers is for. Due to the 2 layers on this hammock, they're both ripstop. If I get a small rip in the bottom here, which would be hard to do, I'd really have to neglect it to do it. But if I got it caught on a thorn per se, or hung too close to a rock and it just was like sliding into the thing all night, at least if I get a hole in the bottom here, I still have a second layer that I'm laying on top of. My Hennessy Expedition gets a 4 out of 5 because the quality's there. All the quality this has, this one has as well. The zippers are the same. They hardly ever get caught on the hammock or the bug net. I had it happen like once or twice, but I've also had this thing for like 6 or 7 years, so. But it just loses 1 point for durability. This is my fault. I had this thing get stuck on a thorn once, and there was a couple nights where I hung a little too low during the night and I kind of sagged down a bit, probably due to how I had my tree straps tied. And I woke up one night and I was slightly going back and forth on a rock and it ripped a hole in this thing. Even though it's a good quality material, I messed up. So this one just gets the extra point, 5 out of 5. compared to 4 out of 5, just for the 2 layers, making it a little bit more idiot proof. And this one just gets a 2.5 out of 5 for quality, just because it's cheaper. The zipper gets caught a little bit more on the bug net and the hammock. And the Ridgeline's stretchy as well. A little less quality there. But for the price, I'm very happy with it. As for affordability, the Jungle Explorer Zip XL Woodland does come in last place, just due to being the most expensive even with the sale on. Just the way she goes. The Hennessy Expedition comes in second. It's quite a bit cheaper than the Jungle Explorer XL. It is a bit smaller as well, and if you get the Woodland version of this, it's even cheaper with the sale on right now. And for affordability, the cheap Amazon hammock comes in first by far. Yes, it has some drawbacks, as you guys saw. However, me being just a cheap guy, I think this price is amazing, and it also comes with daisy chains, carabiners, pegs, a bug net, a zipper, and a Ridgeline. Even though the Ridgeline's not that great, it's still an amazing deal, and it can't be overlooked. Good job, cheap Amazon hammock. If you're brand spanking new to hammock camping and you're also not very big, then this hammock is a good choice. However, just keep in mind you're probably going to want to upgrade after you use it for a while. But for starting out, why not? Next, we're just going to really quickly rate the suspension. Out of 5, I'm going to give both of the Hennessy's a 3 out of 5. Luckily, the suspension is very easy to mod and make it a 5 out of 5. The thing I like is these ropes and how you can have a suspension of like any length. However, it doesn't come with carabiners. It only comes with the single length tree straps. These are the daisy chains with multiple loops. But basically with what it comes with, just adjusting the height up and down is a little annoying to do all the time. So I upgraded. That is probably the worst thing I have to say about the Hennessy hammocks, and it's a very small thing that's super cheap and easy to fix. But I just like different suspension than the suspension that comes on it, which is why I use the daisy chains on it. But it still has good points. Like I said, I like this rope because you can set a tarp up on it separately, and you can also just put your underquilt on the suspension. The no-name hammock also gets a 3 out of 5. It comes with carabiners. These are the carabiners that come with it. But I do like the rope that comes off the other Hennessy's. This just has a closed loop here. But not to get too confusing here, for such a cheap hammock, it came with carabiners and these multiple looped daisy chains, which I use on my Hennessy now. That's where I got them from. Okay, so next we're just going to rate the tarps and the rain flies. We're just going to give this one a first, second, or third. And the Jungle Explorer XL with its tarp that you guys saw in the review, it comes first. It has the best tarp just due to it being bigger and having the most coverage. And you can also set it up right on the suspension, which is awesome. I don't have it out, but the tarp that came with the Hennessy Expedition comes in second. It will keep you dry if you set it up right. However, it is a little bit smaller, a lot smaller, but it's better for lightweight, so it really depends on what you prefer. Still giving it second place. And the no-name hammock didn't even come with a tarp, so it comes dead last. And the last thing here is accessories. This hammock is going to be 5 out of 5. It has tie-outs for a different laying experience, hooks on Prusik loops to tie your tarp to the suspension or for your underquilt, bug net, Ridgeline, and inside there's hooks on the Ridgeline to hang drinks or lanterns, and a Ridgeline pocket organizer. And the Hennessy Expedition has all of this stuff as well. Everything, including the tie-outs. However, I'm giving this one a 4, just because this has one more thing that this one doesn't have. The second layer for insulation. This doesn't come with the pad. However, if you are in a pinch and you're freezing, you can take a bunch of leaves and just stuff it in here, and it can actually work for insulation. I haven't really tried it. This one here is going to get a 2.5 out of 5, just due to the fact that it has the bug net, but not the best one. It does have some storage in the inside there, just a little pocket, but I don't really like the location. No storage on the Ridgeline, and no place to put an underquilt or anything like that. And it's only one layer. So yeah, out of all 3 of these hammocks, this one definitely comes in first for being the best overall. The Hennessy Expedition is second. It just has a couple less things than the Jungle Explorer XL, and it's a touch smaller. And it's not camo. The camo's really cool. And the no name comes in last. It's actually a really good hammock for the price, but in this instance, you're getting what you pay for. So yeah, that concludes my video on the Hennessy Jungle Explorer XL. I hope this video had all the information you need. If not, please comment down below and I'll answer any questions you have about the thing. I'm very happy with this hammock, and it's definitely going to be the main hammock I use from now on. There's nothing I would really change about the thing. The comfort's there, the bug protection is excellent, and the camo just looks awesome. The price is getting up there a bit, I will admit, coming from a cheap guy like myself. However, having a hammock with 2 layers for extra bug protection, a built-in ridgeline, a built-in bug net that doesn't go on you at all, and with just this excellent quality, it's going to be hard to find something much, much cheaper. If you still do find this hammock a little expensive, the Hennessy site does have cheaper models. This is one of the more expensive ones that they have. But in this instance, it sort of is a get what you pay for. Other than that, the only constructive criticism I can add is it'd be cool to have some options for different tree straps on their site so you don't have to buy your own, even though it's a very cheap thing to do. But other than that, this thing is amazing. So that's the end of this video. Thank you very much for watching and have a fantastic rest of your day.